My name is Staci Sadler, and this is my book, Aura Personalities. I'm going to talk about the crystal aura today. I call the archetype for the crystal is the vessel. This is a aura personality layer that is within the spiritual family, which means that it operates primarily from energy, because if something is spiritual, it's the unseen, unfelt, not logical, not emotional necessarily. It's just the vibration. So crystals are notoriously known as being extremely sensitive, and I like to think of them more in terms of what they're able to hold, and to kind of think of it in a little bit different way. They're considered maybe the ultimate empath, and the reason why, the way I use that term, empath, means basically like you hold whatever is in front of you. Okay, so there's no discerning between it, there's no picking and choosing, it's just whatever comes in. And I have a crystal aura as my first layer, and so I know a lot about this one personally in lots of different situations and throughout a lifetime. And what we can hold can be dark, and it can be light, and it can be emotion, and it can be logic, and it can be practicalness, and it can be strange energy, or it can just be whatever's around us, right? So even like we just kind of don't ever know what it is we're holding on to. And so one of the journeys of the vessel is to learn to name what is passing through them at any given time. And a very, very important, I feel like, key thing to know if you have empathic qualities, or if you have crystal in your layers, whether it's your first layer or whether it's a layer further out in your aura, your whole aura field, is that things pass through. Okay, they don't get stuck. You're not stuck, and you don't have to stay in anything longer than you are supposed to or need to, and you can learn how to let it move through. But some of the traits of a crystal, so somebody who's a crystal, the vessel, as an aura personality layer, especially as a first layer, is to just think of things like sensitivity, connectedness, hypervigilance, reactive, and all of these things would make sense if you just think, it's like putting a sponge in the ocean, or if you were using some kind of like a cotton ball, like sitting it on your hand to like stick it inside of a room and then find out what the air quality or the chemicals in the room are, or in the air, or just whatever is in the air. Like, you basically just kind of can think of it as this neutral person in a way, which is so funny because crystals feel and seem and feel themselves to be so reactive, but they really are this neutral person, by personality, that just is affected by things around them. So they're not often putting their own agenda outward, or their own vibration outward, except for the things that they take in. So for example, if a crystal was around somebody who was really upset and agitated, and they were in the space with them, and the person was like, moving through the room and expressing and, extroverting it and moving it through themselves and talking about it, and, essentially like doing really healthy things with it, in as far as like addressing it and talking about it and being done with it. So the crystal is in that space with them, and they're gathering all that, right? And then they go into a different space, and then suddenly they feel agitated and restless and need to extrovert, and the disgruntledness, or the agitation or whatever it is. but they don't know that because it wasn't their own experience, other than they experienced it in the same space with the other person. So it's really a strange thing if you're not a crystal, and if you are, or if you know one well, it's pretty clear like this is kind of what their world's like. So obviously there are gifts with that. By personality alone, like crystals are pretty kind, nice. Like they're not, they don't tend to be very extreme in their personality in any given way. They tend to match who they're around. So if they're speaking to someone who's logical, they'll tend to fall into that. They don't mean to, they just are affected enough by who they're with that they'll match that. If they're with somebody who's very animated and talking really quickly, they can go into that language and that speech pattern with them. So in a way, you can learn a lot about other people from crystals. So hopefully that's like a little bit of a reason to learn about aura personalities for me, because that's basically what happened to me. Is I would sit with people knowing the main layer of light around them and maybe the second layer too, and I would sit with them, and as I would talk with them, I would know more about them because I was just embodying it. It was just coming through, and it was just clear to say, this is what it's like for you. So a crystal can't do that just willy-nilly or anytime they want. Like, they have to focus the gift, and they have to manage a lot, right? So there's a lot of input a crystal has to learn to manage. I think probably 90% of a crystal's life is trying to figure out how to manage stuff that isn't even their stuff. So you know, you'll find the crystals in your life, and depending obviously on like their next layer out, you'll find them spending a lot of time just kind of trying to, like, you know, get to their center and learn how to do that. My goal for crystals, especially someone who doesn't know about this and or feels really stuck in it, is to don't feel stuck. You're supposed to be this way, and it's okay, and nothing's wrong with you. It's just like every single other aura personality, it's learning how to manage it. Okay, so I think crystals are great. It's a great way to be, and it's definitely something you can manage. So